Running with Maverick and Wolfman. Hey guys, welcome back. This episode features Lynn. She's a mom, she's a marathoner, and she's a PA. This episode is about how Lynn agreed to run the Pittsburgh Marathon with her patient, a veteran with a below-knee amputation. They went to Pittsburgh to run the marathon just 444 days after his surgery. I hope you enjoy. If you are enjoying running with Maverick and Wolfman, remember to support the show by clicking the link. Thank you to those who have supported the show. Like and share on Facebook, follow on Instagram. Tell a friend about the show.
Wolfman here.
Maverick here.
I'm Lynn.
So Lynn, you're a PA, you're a mom, a pretty busy lady with a lot of stress, right?
True words. Yes, true story.
And somehow you found time to run a marathon.
Yes, it was like having two full-time jobs, which I'm sure you guys can relate to, but it was good timing, I think. We weren't in the height of baseball season yet, and it wasn't cross-country season for my daughter, so the timing of the marathon was good because it was in May. So I think the training through the winter, was just kind of part of the whole, it was meant to be.
Now you're talking about the Pittsburgh Marathon, and it was your first marathon, correct?
It was my second. I did a full in 2015, I think. I think it was 2015. I did the Wine Glass Marathon in Corning, New York.
Oh, Wolfman.
So this was
Wolfman did the.
I did the half.
That's a great race too. So this was my second full, but I've done multiple halves. That's the distance I really like. I've done a lot of those.
Very good. Very good. So tell us the story about how you got into the Pittsburgh Marathon.
So as you mentioned, I'm a PA and I work in surgery. And so there was a patient that I had gotten involved with from the beginning. He's a veteran and had wounds on his legs from burn pits from Iraq and Afghanistan. So he was very well aware of amputees because he is a coach for the biathlon Paralympics. So he's very well aware of it. And he had seen other surgeons and they had given him an option to do partial amputations, but he really wanted his whole leg, like below his knee. He was in so much pain and it was causing a lot of just distress in his life. And so he really wanted his leg removed from below his knee. So he came to us and the surgeon gave him all the options, including saying, if this is what you really want, we can do it. And so he chose to have a below knee amputation. And I was really involved in his care prior to surgery. I was in the OR during his surgery and helped with the surgery, and then was really involved with his care after the surgery also. Partly just, again, luck because I happened to be on call that weekend. So I saw him the whole time he was in the hospital. So we just kind of formed a friendship and I got to know his wife as well. And when he came for his 6-week follow-up, I said to him, what are your goals? And he was hand cycling the Pittsburgh Marathon that year. So this was February. He was going to do it in May. And then I said, well, what are your running goals? And he said, I want to run the Pittsburgh Marathon next year. And I just, no filter, just came right out and said, I could be ready for that. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking like, oh, this is well over a year. I have plenty of time to figure it out. So we started planning and we don't live close. So training was separate, but we would keep in touch with each other. And we, met up obviously that weekend and he had gotten us special permission to run right behind the hand cyclist. So we ran with Hope for the Warriors, which was a really special group, a group he was very involved with. So we ran part of their team, but he was like the focus of that team. And just him and I started behind the hand cyclist. So the hand cyclist went And then we went, and then 10 minutes later, elites started running and they started doing the corrals little by little. And then other people who were running with us as part of that team met up with us probably about the halfway mark. And the Pittsburgh Marathon kind of does a fork. So if you go to the left, you're finishing the half. If you go to the right, you're doing the whole. And really, even up to that point, we weren't 100% sure if he was going to go to the right. And we did. We went to the right. And for me, it was like, this was his race. I was just there to do it with him. It didn't matter to me. Time didn't matter. What his decision, ultimate decision was, didn't matter. I was there for him and whatever he wanted to do, but he went right. So I went right, and we all finished it together. His service dog kind of ran part of the first mile with us and then ran the last mile with us as well, which was pretty cool. So it was just overall a ridiculously inspiring experience. There were times where I had to lighten the mood because I was getting so emotional. And so in the beginning, people were just saluting him and cheering. And I was like, oh, they're all cheering for me, right? And he was, on his prosthetic, and it was exactly 444 days from the day of his surgery that he did this. And then, as the elites are flying by us, I'm like, oh, we're running with the elites, for a whole half a second. But that's really the only time that'll happen for me. So I took advantage of it. It was pretty cool. So it was a great experience. It's a great race anyway. It was a great city support, great crowd support, great way to see Pittsburgh. It was my first time in Pittsburgh. It was a great way to see the city, but to do it with him as part of that team was just a once in a lifetime. It was ridiculously, like I said, inspiring.
The emotion must have been amazing, though, because racing, a lot of people don't know this unless they actually race, but it's an emotional experience anyway. And then to do that, what you did with someone like that, that's incredible.
It is. There's a lot of tears at the end from everybody, like from us, from our family, our friends, because it's, you watch people and you get emotional, and you do it and you get emotional. And it is this release, I think, a lot of times crossing the finish line. So yeah, it was definitely something special, something I'll never, ever, ever forget. So, and my family was there to see it and be supportive as well, which was pretty cool. My daughter actually ran the half while we were running the full. And it was funny because as we were doing the full, we were talking, and I said, oh, I wonder where she is. And all of a sudden she comes in between the two of us. I'm like, oh, there she goes. So that was, it was definitely a family affair. Usually running is for us, but it was good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wolfman, I'm going to let you ask the next question.
Well, a lot of my questions she answered as she told her story. But
sorry.
No, it's good.
When I have an open mic, it's just go. Nobody's stopping me. I just go.
That's fine.
Yeah, it sounds like you both knew you were both serious, because one of my questions was at what point did you realize, oh, we're really doing this? But it sounds like that was just known between the two of you right from the start.
It was.
This isn't a joke. This is happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was definitely, again, we kept in contact on a routine basis, just well, how many miles did you do? What's your training looking like? Things like that. And I had always kept it open for him and basically said, if you at any point don't want to do this, if you want to switch to the half, every race I think has a purpose. And for me, this race, my purpose was to be supportive to him. It had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And so it was whatever he wanted to do. But I think driving out to Pittsburgh, I was like, all right, now I know we're definitely doing this. But even that day, there was the opportunity to go left. There definitely was that opportunity, but he didn't. And so I didn't do it. We went right.
So you kind of already went over kind of what it was like to finish, but what was it like when the wall came? I know personally what it is like. And I know it's different for everybody, and a lot of people fear, how do they get through that wall? But what was that like?
So it was different because we definitely did a walk run, and we stopped a bunch. She needed to stop to change like the dressing on his prosthetic to make sure there was no skin breakdown. There was care that had to be provided like throughout. But as you know, sometimes like stopping is harder, right? Like you want to just keep going. So I think those were more like the walls for me when we were at a certain point, and like, you know, we would take a walk break and like my body wanted to keep going, like just because you get to that point where like, okay, you just want to get to the next part. You just want to. And so that part I think was just different than what you normally plan for. And I think that was the thing, was some of it couldn't be planned because we didn't know what was going to happen or how many breaks he was going to need, or, you know, how often he was going to have to change his dressing and things like that. So I think it was just those mental walls that you had to get through every couple of miles just to see what was going to happen at that point.
So did you guys have like support along the way for the different things he needed for the prosthetic?
We did. So the Hope for the Warriors group, they met us like multiple times along the course with the service dog as well, which was kind of like a little pick me up. Got to see him. And so they had supplies. He had supplies with him as well, and like a pack. I had a vest, so I had some of his stuff there if needed and things. And then the like first aid stations were ridiculously good. Like they had Vaseline and they down, and we would break, and you know, they would just be, is there anything else you need? You're welcome to whatever we have, things like that. So there was a lot of those. Again, the race support just in general too was really good because it's such a big race. So I think that was helpful as well, just to know that was along the way if needed.
Awesome. Your go, Mav.
Okay. So here's the question. What makes you wake up in the morning and get motivated and get going with your day?
So obviously my job has a lot of fulfillment and like personal satisfaction because I'm helping people and changing things for people all of the time. But I think just again, like for how cheesy it is, I mean, I do have 2 kids, and I need to be able to look them in the eye, right? Like I need to be able to know that I did everything that day to put it all out there, and just, you know, you get one chance, right? So it's just that, I think it's just the knowing that they're there and they're watching. Like even though they're older now, they're still watching. When they were younger, it was that like they're watching you need to do this. So I think it's just that. I think it's, you know, just the connections, you know, throughout the day. And you know, again, there's a lot of times where, and I'm sure you guys have the same thing, like you have a long day and you don't want to run. And, you know, when I was doing the training, it was, is there any way I can push it off to the next day? But no, like sometimes you just can't, because then it pushes everything else off. So there were days where I'd leave work early to do long runs. You know, you just figure it out. And I think you do what you have to do when you have to do it. And, you know, you make a commitment, and my word is that, and I made this commitment and I was doing it, and that was it. There's just no questions after that. So
yeah, a lot of people wouldn't have continued with that promise. It would have been like, I wasn't serious about that.
I mean, he's such a positive guy and had been through so much, and I felt it as an honor that he like allowed me to do that with him, and again, just to be, I mean, literally by his side the entire time. You know what I mean? There were times where we were like, we'd go downhill and he'd put like his arm on my shoulder, just because it was a different landscape for him, right? So it's harder, you know, it's hard enough going downhill. When you're doing it on a prosthetic, it's even harder. And then at one point it started to rain a little bit, so the road can get slippery, and especially on like the paint. There's just those kinds of challenges too, but it's that whole, like, if he's doing this on a prosthetic after everything he's been through, I have no excuses to not do it. So there is that too, you know.
Wouldn't look good if you give a lot of excuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not at all.
So, I mean, doing a marathon is pretty incredible to begin with, but then to do a marathon after an amputation, and then that quickly after an amputation is pretty. I'm putting my PT cap on. That's pretty amazing. 3 times over.
Not everybody on his medical team was, 100% for it, but he was like, same thing. He's like, I said I was doing it, I put my mind to it, I'm doing it. And I don't want to say he was like willing to take the consequences. I think, again, we took really good care of what we needed to take care of during the race to prevent issues. And even during his training, he had support, medical support, his rehab team, and, everybody just giving him things to use or try this or salve or this lotion and skin protectant and things. So I think that was reassuring to both of us too, that like, this will be okay because we have the tools available. Seeked out the right people to get the tools that he needed to make sure it was successful and he was safe while he did it.
Very cool. Very cool. So what does the future look like for your running? Are you motivated to do more marathons, half marathons?
Yeah, so that I definitely took a break like all summer. And again, like the kids are busy with sports, so it was easy.
Wait, your kids are busy with sports? That doesn't happen.
Yeah. It was easy to be distracted, right? Like it was, so I just like, got back into it. I'm doing a couple miles here and there. And my best friend ran the Chicago Marathon. So my daughter and I drove out and we watched her, and I was texting my husband.
Shout out?
Like, oh, it's so like.
Do you want to give a shout out to her?
Oh yeah, Melissa's great. She's, she's my coach, and she, does it all. She's a fantastic runner and qualified for Boston in Chicago and ran strong and ran smart. And so we'll see what the future brings for her too. And it's fun to be a spectator sometimes. Like we say like spectating is a sport too, like that. It's stressful, and you are, you're on edge and you're running all over the place and you're trying to get places. And so that's a sport too. But I texted my husband and I'm like, well, it's really cool to be out here. But the good news is I'm not feeling like I need to jump into this again right away. Me and my kids are doing a Thanksgiving 5K, not the diamonds. I did the diamonds 1 year. 1 year was enough for me for that too. But we're doing a 5K on Thanksgiving.
Not for Wolfman. Not for Wolfman.
No?
You gotta do it every year, no matter what.
This year?
This is number 24, 23 in a row.
Are you kidding?
Yep.
Is it only not in a row because of COVID?
No. So in high school, I ran a high school regional meet in New York City that was the same weekend. So I didn't do diamonds that year.
Okay. Yeah. I did it the year after COVID, I guess, like 2021. And it was warm. It was like 60 that day. Like I had shorts and a t-shirt on, I think. And I'm like, I just need to run up this hill, like make it up. It is. I don't know. I think I could bring myself to do it a second time. And if you're doing it 24th time, that's crazy.
That hill's brutal. And you never know with that race. I've run it in near blizzards and like you said, 60, 70 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. And then my daughter's training for the Rehoboth half. So we're going down to Rehoboth beginning of December. Our bucket list. Yeah, it's December, like 2nd or whatever, that first weekend in December.
Oh, wow.
That sounds terrible.
No, it's in Delaware. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's like 3 weeks from now. It's like nice out still. It'll be fine. It's been on my bucket list for a while to do Dopey's Challenge in Disney World. So it's, if you don't know, it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You do a 5K, 10K, half marathon, full. So it's consecutive 4 days. So my daughter Mackenzie graduates in 2025. So we're hoping to get registered to do it in 2025, like the January before she graduates, as part of her graduation gift.
That's not a nice gift at all. I don't understand.
Yeah. I know. We went on a cruise for my 40th birthday, and I made the whole family run a 5K in the Bahamas. And my husband's like, this is not fun for me. Like, why are we doing this? Is not what you do here. Like, what are we? This is work. Why are we doing this? But
my wife would not sign up for any of that.
Yeah,
that wouldn't work at my house.
Yeah.
Wolfman, what about you?
I recommend taking the day of registration off to get.
Oh yeah, no, I told them like I'm going to work late. The kids are going to school late. I have friends coming over with devices. I'm like, it's going to look like NASA here, like to try to Well, I was gonna do the whole like you buy that club thing and then you get like 2 registrations. But first of all, that's like super expensive and it was sold out. So I'm like, all right, well, we're just in it. We're just gonna do this best we can. I'm hoping it's easier than like I didn't get Taylor Swift tickets. I didn't, so I'm hoping this is a little easier than the Taylor Swift ticket debacle. So
That's funny.
we'll
But no,
see.
my wife wouldn't sign up for any races either, I'm sure.
No, I think my wife and your wife will just be spectators in that sport, like Lynn mentioned
Yeah.
earlier.
It is the sport.
Oh,
They're very competitive in that sport.
spectating is a contact sport. That's what I was.
This is true.
My mom
true.
was just at the New York City Marathon, and
I know.
she's like 4 feet tall, and
Yeah.
somebody tried to get in front of her, and she was just like, "Back off."
Yeah.
Yeah, his mom's tough.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Did you run New York City too?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay. Okay.
No, you didn't, and his wife is still mad about that.
Oh,
Yeah. That's
so
funny.
that's what's in our future. But other than that, I say like I'm definitely slowing down a bit as far as like the long distance stuff goes. You know, it's just it hurts a little bit more than it used to. So, and now the kids are faster than me. Like we used to line up. Mackenzie was 7, 8 doing 5Ks, and I'd be like, "All right, I'm going," and I'm like, "You'll be faster than me someday, but today's not the day." Well, that day came a couple years ago, so now it's more fun to watch them.
That's awesome.
Okay, Lynn, so besides running, are you doing any other kind of exercise, endurance work, anything else?
That's part of it too. Like when you're doing this, as you guys know, like it's not just running, right? Like, and I think that's part of it too, is just like all the cross training, and I'm not good at it. Like I would rather just run, 3 or 4 days a week than try to work other stuff in. Yeah, I think that's hard. I used to do a lot of like strength training, biking, things like that. I swam for a while, but I haven't done that in a while either. Things just change. It's just easier for me to just walk out the door and go running than it is for me to drive somewhere to go and do something. But we ski, so like in the winter I have that. But other than that, no, right now it's really just some miles a couple times a week.
So how is that with your training? Do you get a lot of pushback with stuff, or are you able to just go do whatever you want to do?
No, everybody's super supportive. So Michael's running the schoolboy race on Saturday, part of the Diamonds thing. So he hadn't run since cross country. So Tuesday we went together. And I think that was part too, like when my daughter was younger, I encouraged her to come with me because it was a way for me to be a mom and do something for myself at the same time. So I think
why would you need to do that?
Yeah. It's all about the balance. So, we'd have conversations and we talk and, things like that. And it's just being out with them, doing different races with them. And then, again, we would go all over the place and even if I was doing halves and they'd be there to watch and we'd make vacations out of it and things like that. So, yeah, I mean,
so does your husband, sorry, I'm interrupting you, but does your husband run?
No, he hates it. He absolutely hates it.
This is our life, right, Wolfman?
Yeah, he will. Yeah,
a yin and a yang.
Like I said, like, oh, Michael wants to do probably the 5K and the 10K in Disney. Like, are you gonna do the 5K or whatever? He's like, I don't know. We'll see. Like he's like, I can just watch. He's like, why can't I just cheer for you guys? Like he hates it. He'll do it like because it's good, but he hasn't run in a while yet. He absolutely hates it. He's the whole like you drank the juice. All your friends drank the juice. I'm not drinking the juice. Like you guys do your own thing. He thinks runners are crazy, so.
I always find that to be fun though, because you do find couples, like we have friends that are actually both marathoners and distance runners and the whole nine, and everybody's different. And sometimes you marry someone who does what you do and sometimes they don't. It's funny though to hear the different stories and the people that absolutely loathe it.
Yeah. And so I didn't run like in high school or anything. I didn't start running until like my early 30s. And so he was also
you're like 30 now, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So he was with me when I wasn't a runner and then stayed with me, thank God, like as I became a runner. Do you know what I mean? So he's seen the ups and downs of it completely. But he loves cross country season. He loves watching the kids too. And again, hard to spectate cross country, but somehow we figure it out. So it's a good time. It's a good time.
I would have to say that whatever you're into, though, right? Like if you're a runner, swimmer, biker, whatever. Me personally, I'm always, in a better mood if I get my run in. So
yeah,
whatever your person does for exercise, let them do that exercise, because it's going to create a moody person otherwise.
So
They'll be living in trash cans.
yeah.
I always find it interesting too that runners will sacrifice a lot of other things to go for their run. And I'm sure it's true for other sports and activities. Like I'm sure CrossFitters are the same way, climbers. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of sacrifice to get to do that activity. We just get a lot of backlash about it because they're like, why would you run? That's just painful and stupid. Why would you do that? And you're like, you don't get it.
Yeah. Like I actually prefer to run now, like fall, winter, than spring, summer, but I don't like the heat and the humidity running in that. Like I like there's snow on the ground and I can go for a run. That I like.
The Dopey Challenge sounds great then. I mean, that just sounds like perfect.
Yeah. Well, it's January though. It's January in Florida. So again, and you run at like 5:00 in the morning. So the sun's not even out. And I can train. I'll be training all through the fall and winter. So listen, if y'all want to join us, we're always looking for people to.
I'm still working on just running my first marathon, and I haven't even completed the half yet. So I'm really far from the Dopey Challenge.
You've never run a half?
I've never raced a half.
Raced a half, okay.
I've probably run a half in like a training long run or something, where I didn't have a GPS. But to actually say that I've raced no, I've never raced more than, I think the longest I did was like 5 miles.
Okay.
Sounds like you need to join me in Berwick in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Part of what's drawing us to Dopies though is like all the swag. Like it's all the medals and all the t-shirts. Like I like getting the stuff. We're all about the stuff.
You do get what? 4 shirts or 6 shirts and 6 medals and stuff like that?
6 medals, 6 shirts. It's a lot.
If I go to Disney, I'm drinking Joffrey's coffee and watching someone else run all those miles. I'll run, but I'm not running that far.
My only concern is that I might have to run a half in 2024 for proof of time, because I have a half from December of 2022 and it might be too old. That's the only thing I'm like, I really didn't want to have to do a half next year just for proof of time, but I might have to do that.
What is there to prove? If you're crazy enough to do the 4 in a row, I mean.
Well, it's the whole corral thing though. Like
yeah.
If you have proof of time, you get pushed in the back, and then we want to ride the rides and do that stuff. So we want to have the buffer so the balloon ladies can get us. Like there's people who walk with balloons, and if you see the balloon ladies, they sweep you.
I forgot about the whole Disney park. I was just thinking about the running part.
Yeah.
All right. So my next race is I don't know.
Okay.
I'm coming off an injury. I'm trying to get back into it. Long-term goal is a marathon somewhere. Haven't decided where yet. Not exactly sure on what time frame I'll be ready. Running is definitely getting easier as long as I don't do anything stupid, which every so often I like to do that. Hey guys, that's all we have for today. Thanks for listening. Happy Thanksgiving. Maverick and Wolfman, running out.